Dallas Races Net, first and third Sunday, 8 p.m., W5FC. W5FC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Oh, it is time for Skynet. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we get started? This is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX. My name's Tom. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions to this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break very enthusiastically, and the call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me, and stations are minded to ID at the end of their transmission. This weekly net operates on this frequency with a field tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or the famous Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topic, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Just go to the club website, which is www.w5fc.org right now for a complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 90 minutes long and structured in several parts. I'll tell you what they are. We have general announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society, discussion topic of the evening, decided by your net control, was up, space exploration and space history, Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A, and a 73 round. Depending on how long this net goes, we determine how many of these topics we get to. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take short time check-ins. If you are one of those short time check-in, I'd like to hear from you now. Please come with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Short time only, please. Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J. You're west.
Kilo Charlie 5, Mike Papa Oscar, Jamie, Mobile, North Dallas.
Okay, I've got KG5BZW, J near Weatherford, and I got KC5MPO, Jamie, Mobile in North Dallas. So I have any low power short ton. So low power or mobile for that matter, check-ins, please come now. This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot India WB4MFI, Ted Dallas low power. Okay, we picked up WB4MFI. That's Ted, Dallas low power. Now from the checked-in stations, do any of you have anything you want to bring to the net? Please come with your call now. That's because I'm suspecting you may disappear into the ether early. If you do, please come with your call. All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and go to general check-ins. If you are one of those, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. General check-ins, please.
Whiskey 5, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, W5, BLT, Bill in Garland.
Kilo India 5, Juliet, Charlie, Mike, Thomas, and Euless.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Ranch.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, here in East Dallas.
This is Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform, Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas.
This is Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton. Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Planet Earth, Mesquite.
All right, let me go and get those checked in. There is one station that doubled. If you don't hear your call, I'll get you on the next round. We have W5B, L5, ZBL, Mr. Bill, Farmers Branch, NT5TM, Tony in East Dallas, W5GUS, Gus, RR, Northeast Dallas, Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert in Richardson, KG5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton, and KF5JHA, Chaz, Planet Earth, sometimes known as Mesquite. Well, Mesquite's inside of Planet Earth somewhere, so we'll count them both as locations for Chaz. I'll take additional check-ins. Please come now.
Kilo 5, Mike, Charlie, Delta, Cody in Dallas, low power. I was your double.
Kilo India 5, Kilo Tango Zulu, Philip, White Rock Lake, low power.
Okay, we picked up two more. I got K5MCD, Cody in Dallas. I got you. And KF5KTZ, Philip in White Rock Lake. He says he's low power. I will now take Echolink check-ins. If you'd like to join us via Echolink, I see a few people there. By all means, check in there. Please come with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. I will give you extra time. Echolink only, please.
This is Alpha Golf, Niner, Sierra Golf. Antonio, here in Dallas.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo, Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Point.
Golf 5, Zulu, Mike Golf, Joe.
right, let's see here. We've got over on Echolink, Alpha Golf 9 Sierra Golf, that's Antonio in Dallas. K5 KTX, Miss Kelly in Point. And Kilo Golf 5 ZMG, that's Joe in Arlington. I'll go ahead and open it up. Oh wait, there's a fellow who was there and he disappeared and he tried to transmit and I got him back. I got Kilo Delta 9, Romeo Hotel Juliet, that would be Tim. Tim, I'm going to check in. I saw you tried to transmit and then something happened. I don't know what, but I've got you checked in. Okay, I will now open the net to anyone, anywhere, any mode. If you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, phonetically your name, where you're transmitting from.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill in Irving.
Okay, picked up Bill N5BB over in Irving. I have a feeling a few people are watching the playoffs over on Fox, so we'll pardon you this time. It's okay. All right, let's see here. We've done low power, short time check-ins, Echolink check-ins, general check-ins, and now open round check-ins, and now general announcements. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? They could be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come when you call now.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Okay, NT5TM, Tony, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it, and that burst of noise wasn't my fault. So, the ARRL January VHF contest is going on right now. It runs through tomorrow evening. I really hope you'll get out there and try to get on 2 meters, 6 meters, 220, 440, L-band, S-band. If we can meet up, then we can earn lots of points. And this also helps us earn an extra entry for the Dallas Amateur Radio Club members only event. Just look at the upper right corner of the website, and yes, if you participate in an ARRL sanctioned contest, you get an extra raffle ticket. So I'm trying to improve my station quickly and get on the air tomorrow morning bright and early for the VHF contest. But something strange has interrupted me. This giant papier-mâché boulder is actually really heavy. Oh, we're going to talk about that at about 10:30. This is a really strange movie that I've been trying to watch and not making much progress because it's just so weird. So, VHF contest going on now, Dark Meeting on the Air event going on now, GeekNet this Monday, hey, please check in. And I'm trying to figure out why this papier-mâché boulder is just really so very heavy. NT5TM.
All right, thank you, Tony. Does anybody need any fills? Have any questions?
KI5JCM question.
Yeah, Thomas, go ahead.
What was the title of the movie we're going over tonight in the Afterglow Note?
Oh, let's see. I have to look it up. Hold on, because I can tell you, Tony mentioned it, and the title was "This Giant Papier-Mâché Boulder is Actually Really Heavy," from I think 2016.
I thought you were just making a joke about the movie preemptively. Okay, KI5JCM.
about that. It is a parody film and a science fiction film. I'll tell you more about it in a little bit. But I want you to think about the title. It has a double meaning, of course. The first is that, hey, this is a kind of made-up science fiction. The second part is really a Star Trek reference. But we'll talk about that at 10:30. Okay, let's see here. Where are we? Announcements. General announcements, don't forget about AMSAT. That's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. It's a local net here on this repeater. This is the Dallas AMSAT net East, Tuesday 8 p.m. on this repeater. Tuesdays, Tom and 5HYC is usually net control and are welcome to check in. Except for the first Tuesday of every month, which is the ARC night. So Tom usually comes to meetings, so he's not there available for AMSAT. Now there's an AMSAT West. That one is on Wednesday evening. That one is at 9 o'clock, and it is on the Irving repeater, and I still have not confirmed if they have it on 2 meters or 440. I currently have them on the repeater at 147.140 megahertz with PL110.9 positive offset. That's on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. There is the national AMSAT net that is Tuesday nights, also at 8 o'clock, but you'll have to get on Echolink or drive to Houston to be able to actually participate on that net. It's on the AMSAT channel. That's on Echolink. Just look for AM. Find them, click in there, or go to the website, amsatnet.com, and you can click on the live audio link there. The ARC has a bunch of nets. Monday evenings are alternating nets at 7 o'clock. The first week is ham fixins. We know the hams not only like to eat, they also like to cook. Bring your cooking tips and ideas there. That's at 7 o'clock. First week. Second week is MCOM 101, a non-denominational net involving emergency communications for interested in served agencies. That's to be a part of. You don't have to be a member of any of those, but people check in who are, so you can ask your questions there. Third week is the second helping of ham fixins. Again, this is Monday evening. Our fourth week is GeekNet. We expand beyond amateur radio, but only barely. Discuss all things geeky. So if you've got something about your computer or some new toy you would like to talk about, fourth week GeekNet at 7 o'clock is a great one. And whenever there's a fifth week, there's a surprise net. If we told you what it was, it wouldn't be a surprise. There's on-air participation, and every once in a while we give away prizes. So that's always a fun net. We're never even sure what it's going to be when you're net control, so probably the day before. It's that good of a season. Fridays is Cert City simulation. That's at 8 p.m. Learn about emergency radio communications by CERT-trained amateur radio operators. That one is hosted by Melissa, KFI-GRH. She's usually net control, although it does alternate. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday, Cert City. That is at 8 p.m. Then on Saturdays is the Night of Nets. We have TechNet from 7 to 8. You missed that one unless you participated. Skynet from 9 until 10:30, Astronomy. And then 10:30 we have the Skynet, which Afterglow Movie Net, which I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. There is on the first and third Sundays, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air. That's at 7 o'clock. So come by if you want to learn about the Dallas Amateur Radio Club. People who support and maintain this repeater. That's a good net as well. On daily at 6:30, we have the ARRL National Traffic System Training Net, the local net, where you can learn all about message handling. And it is an opportunity to be part of a formalized net. If you've never done it, this is a good net for you to be a part of. If you're a brand new ham and you're scared to even check in on a repeater and you're ready to get started, this is a great net to do so. You can do no wrong. It is a training net, so you will be given instructions if you needed to on a certain operation, or just listen for a few days and then chime on in. Very good welcoming net at 6:30 to 7. All are welcome to check in any or all of these nets. Now, I promised I'd give you information on the Afterglow movie net. Since you know I kind of give quite a liberal response and interpretation of what the net is, or what the movie is, the fact that this one is a parody means that it's hard to parody a parody, but let me see what I can do. The support group stared at each other, knowing they'd made the ultimate mistake. After weeks of contemplating their life choices, it was pretty evident they'd overlooked far better films like The Purple Rose of Cairo from 1985, The Last Action Hero from 1993, Galaxy Quest from 1999, and of course the world-famous The Final Girls from 2015. Instead, the group has decided on an alternate universe trope. This giant papier-mâché boulder is actually really heavy from 2615, a questionable film of even more questionable artistic merit. It was at this point that the rogue group was assembling outside their secret meeting place. Signs emerged quickly, and the group started marching and shouting with signs like, "What were you thinking?" And even George Lucas' Phantom Menace is better than this, and the obligatory failed film students on board. The crowd continued marching, and the chants got louder. So join us for another one of those completely nutso movies, which actually got an 86 out of 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. This giant papier-mâché boulder is actually really heavy from 2016 tonight at 10:30. Might be just worthwhile, even if you've not seen the film, to check in and find out what the hubbub is all about. So there you have it. You can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, W5FC, that's whiskey5friedchicken.org. Do we have any additional check-ins before I go on to the next section of the net? Please come with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
This is November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, flight number
2. November Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth.
All right, we have N5OF, Clay in Mesquite, and NB5F, Virginia in Fort Worth. Welcome, gang. Okay, let's go on to the next section of the net. This would be the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, and that's where and when you can look through a telescope. I'm going to tag in Chaz, Cat5JHA. Chaz, tell us about what's going on with the Texas Astronomical Society.
Thank you, Tom, also known as Mr. Father Skynet. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, January the 26th. That's going to be in 6 days. The meeting is held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas, as well as held on Zoom. The featured speaker is going to be Ken Sherrock of the Denver Astronomical Society, talking about the Chamberlain Observatory. Probably going to get a virtual tour, from my understanding. Now, Saturday night public observing sessions continue. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society at Dallas observing sessions. So, on the third Saturday, stargazing is held at the location of Cedar Hill. Do we have a ham radio operator at the stargazing that would like to make a report? Come now with your call sign if you'd like to do that. Well, hearing nothing, I guess. You can check the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas website at texasastro.org for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Please be aware that there are volunteers that run the website, and sometimes things lag behind on timing. This is KF5, JHA, back to our net control. Mr. Father, or maybe it's Grandfather, Skynet. Tom, it's yours.
Oh, Chaz, you keep making me older and older. We're about the same age, my friend. Okay. Well, that makes us both old. Okay, let's see. Next up is National Space Society events and activity. That one would be Bill, and he's back with us this week. Bill, what do you have for us? N5BB from KE5ICS.
Thank you, Tom. This is N5BB. I happen to be the membership director and member at large of the North Texas section of the National Space Society. This is a nonprofit for people who are enthusiasts of human activities in space. Robots going to Mars, humans going to the moon, low Earth orbiting satellites, you name it. We have meetings on the normally on the second Sunday afternoon of each month. So our January meeting was this previous Sunday. I was in Florida, so I could not be there. But our presenter was Ken Ruffin, the president of our chapter, talking about the expected space events in 2024, the rocket launches and the Blue Origin and SpaceX and all this kind of stuff, and other major missions. The February meeting is going to be on the second Sunday of February, Sunday, February the 11th, at 3:30 p.m. in Irving, at Spring Creek Barbecue at Beltline and Highway 183. I do not yet know the topic for the February meeting. We have also a social event every month that I organize. We call it Space Rendezvous. And the current location of Space Rendezvous is Cheddar's Restaurant on Highway 635 between MacArthur and Bush Turnpike on the south side of Highway 635. So this is roughly halfway between the north entrance of DFW Airport and I-35 on 635. And the Space Rendezvous meeting starts at 6 p.m. We have a meetup group, discussions about it, or you can just show up. You do not have to be a member of any organization to attend. Again, this is a Space Rendezvous for people who are interested in space-related things. And the meeting's going to be, again, at Cheddar's Restaurant in Irving on Highway 635. Friday, it'll be Friday, January 26th. If you have any questions about this event, and by the way, we're going to have some other events. For instance, there is a STEM Expo by the Dallas Independent School District at the Dallas Convention Center on February the 3rd, Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. National Space Center will be there at the Dallas Independent School District STEM Expo. And then coming up is the Dallas Regional Science and Engineering Fair at Fair Park on Saturday, the 17th of February, the same day as Skywarn at Garland. But I will be at the Science Engineering Fair because National Space Society, North Texas chapter, is judging, and I'm a judge. Okay, that's it for now. If you have any interest in the National Space Society or their local chapter, you can contact me, space at byrom.net, that's S-P-A-C-E at B-Y-R-O-M.net, or N5BB at ARRL.net. And you might ask, Bill, why weren't you here last Saturday? I was at a tour of Kennedy Space Center in Florida, sponsored by the National Space Society. It was 3 days. It was Friday afternoon, all day Saturday, and Sunday until 2 p.m. And we saw all kinds of cool stuff. We saw the launch control building where they have 3 separate huge control rooms with all the stations for the people, so they can theoretically launch 3 rockets in one day with people in 3 different control rooms independently doing it all. And we saw the location where they launched Explorer 1, the first U.S. satellite, and the Mercury launches, as well as some of the intercontinental ballistic missiles. And that's at the Space Force facility that used to be called the Air Force Canaveral Station. Now it's a Space Force Canaveral Station. And they have a control room there where it's used for the early Redstone launches and other missile things, and it's still outfitted. They have it dummied up, lighting up. I mean, the equipment doesn't work, but they have the old vacuum tube computer in there and all the stuff, and you can see the windows they looked out of and all that kind of stuff. And we went by, and we couldn't go inside because of security, but we were able to see the SpaceX facility and the Blue Origin facility, which is rather secretive because they're not telling too much about what they're doing. And we were going to see a launch, but the Falcon 9 launch of some satellites got shoved a day later, so it was after I'd already left. That's all I got. This is N5BB. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for the announcements. And yes, years ago, well, I've been to Kennedy. I think I've been to Kennedy 3 different times. Four times now that I recall. But that was over the course of 40 years, too. I did have an opportunity both to see launch, the last Saturn V launch back in 1973, and then also had a chance to go into the vertical assembly building back, gosh, when was that? Around the time of Apollo 15. Apollo 15 was on the pad at the time. You could actually go in the center. When they did the space shuttle, they wouldn't allow tours inside. I think they're allowing them again, but that is really cool when you go inside that building. It is so high that it really gives you kind of vertigo looking up at the ceiling. Really amazing. Very memorable. Okay, folks, well, let's continue on, and I'm envious, Bill. I wish I could have been there with you. It was a really enjoyable trip to get there. At any rate, moving on, as Net Control, I get the discussion topic of the evening, and by the way, I get to do a lot of other things. So my wingman, Miss Brenda, WP50ZL, is off on a conference this week down in Central Texas, so she could not check in, and she's a big help on some of her parts, too. So I've had to do her parts and my parts this evening, so I'm going to get a little tired. Maybe somebody would like to do Net Control for the afterglow later on. Hint, hint, because my voice may be given out. So let's talk about the topic, the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program, or CLPS. Now the reason why I bring that up, picture here, correct, is we just had a mission that was not successful, but was part of CLPS. This is to be expected. Commercial Lunar Payload Services, just that. It has to do with commercial enterprises working on lunar payloads to land on the moon. So let me tell you a little bit about it, what it is, and then maybe further discuss it. The Commercial Lunar Payload Services, or CLPS, is NASA's program to hire companies to send small robotic landers and rovers to the moon's south polar region, mostly with the goals of scouting for lunar resources, testing in situ resource utilization, ISRU. It's got a abbreviation for it, concepts, and performing lunar science to support the Artemis program. CLPS intended to buy end-to-end payload services between Earth and lunar surface using fixed-price contracts. The program was extended to add support for large payloads starting after 2025. So the Directorate has NASA expects the contracts to provide all activities necessary to safely integrate, accommodate, transport, and operate NASA payloads, including launch vehicles, lunar lander spacecraft, lunar surface systems, Earth re-entry vehicles, and associated resources. To date, 8 missions have been contracted under the program, not counting one mission contract that was revoked after awarding and another mission contract that was canceled after the contracting company went bankrupt. There's always that possibility, I suppose. Competitive nature of CLPS is expected to reduce the cost of lunar exploration, accelerate a robotic return to the moon, sample return, resource prospecting in the South Polar region, and promote innovation and growth of related commercial industries. Payload development program called the PPD, and the development and advancement of lunar instrumentation, or DALI, and the payload goals are exploration, in situ resource utilization, and lunar science. The first instruments were expected to be selected by summer of 2019, I guess it's an old article, and flight opportunities were expected to start in 2021. Multiple contracts will be issued, and early payloads will likely be small because of the limited capacity of initial commercial landers. First landers and rovers will be technology demonstrators on hardware such as precision landing, hazard avoidance, power generation, in situ resource utilization. There you go again. Cryogenic fluid management, autonomous operations and sensing, advanced avionics, mobility, mechanisms, and materials. The program requires that only launch vehicles can launch the spacecraft. The mass of the landers and rovers can range from miniature 2,200 to 1,100 pound landers targeted for launches in 2022. Well, I guess that didn't happen because the first one was 2024. I guess they need to update some of this. Anyway, draft request proposal covering the letter states the contract will last up to 10 years. NASA needs to send payloads to the lunar surface and other CAS lunar destinations. Arises, it will issue firm fixed price task orders. Oh, it's getting a little technical. CLPS proposals are being evaluated against 5 technical standards, of which I will mercifully save you that. NASA is assuming a cost of $1 million per kilogram delivered to the lunar surface. Now, this year marks a significant surge in lunar missions, largely driven by NASA's program. The first mission, Astrobotics Peregrine lander, aimed to reach the lunar surface on the 23rd of February, but unfortunately encountered a fuel leak. Increasing number of missions to the moon raises concerns about the potential impact of human activity on the lunar environment, underlying the importance of learning Earth's environmental impact. So the program is, NASA aims to enable rapid and affordable access to the lunar surface. The program has 14 eligible vendors and allowed companies to fly commercial payloads alongside NASA payloads. With 5 companies awarded lunar delivery contracts, the first 2 CLPS missions are scheduled to launch in early 2024. Here's the updated part. The program aims to reduce costs and accelerate return to the moon. The initial contracts run from 2028 with cumulative maximum values of $2.6 billion. So, Peregrine Mission 1 was the spacecraft which this week experienced a propulsion issue after launch, and NASA is currently working with Astrobotics and German cause to develop a plan forward. The payload assessments for NASA science aboard the missions are continuing. Copies of 4 of the NASA payloads aboard Peregrine are expected to fly on future flights. Unfortunately, Peregrine ion trap mass spectrometer is not currently on a future CLPS flight. For future payloads, we'll be locating water molecules and evaluating lunar exosphere. NASA is sending 5 payloads to the moon aboard Astrobotic's Peregrine lander as part of the CLPS initiative. These payloads will aim to locate water molecules, measure radiation and gases, and evaluate the lunar exosphere. It is one of 14 vendors eligible to carry NASA payloads. The CLPS initiative aiming for diversity and sustainability. The CLPS initiative aims to land the first woman and first person of color on the moon, establish an Artemis base camp and gateway in lunar orbit, and conduct uncrewed missions using the Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System SLS rocket. The initiative also includes plans for future Mars missions, gaining lunar orbit experience for these missions, and the initiative is part of NASA's broader Artemis program. NASA's CLPS program has several missions lined up for 2024, 25, and 26, fully built, operated, and managed by their respective companies with minimal oversight from NASA. These missions will carry various NASA and non-NASA payloads from across the globe, with the landers expected to last a maximum of 1 lunar day. Astrobotic will also launch NASA's Viper rover to explore areas in and around permanently shadowed regions for over 100 days in November of 2024 with the aim to unravel the nature of moon water ice deposits. Okay, there was other information on the various, there are actually 4 waves of these CLPS programs. I will probably talk about that on the next time on Net Control about what those waves are and what they will entail. That one was quite a long article, but I think it'd be interesting to learn about all the things they're going to be doing over the next 3 years in those 4 waves. And this is KE5 ICX Net Control for tonight's Skynet. That's my presentation. Does anyone have any comments or have any questions? Please come down. Okay, very good. Do we have any additional check-ins? Please come out.
Kilo India 5, Quebec Alpha X-ray, Lewis in McKinney.
Kilo Delta 5, Juliet Romeo Whiskey, Ryan, North Dallas.
All right, we have picked up KI5QAE, that's Lewis and McKinney, and KD5URW, Ryan in North Dallas. And I see a comment over on the video. Let's see, KD9RHJ. I think his name is Tim. I'm not sure where he's from. I'll go ahead and check there. He's on the Echo Link. Not an Echo Link, he's on the video portion watching the thing from outside the area. Okay, so now it is time for Chaz, KF5JJ, and his from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This is Chaz, KF5JJ, and also Bob the Cat. He's sleeping very close to the computer, so I hope he doesn't wake up and start walking across the keyboard. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up because it's all about what's going on astronomically over the next couple of weeks and beyond. That was slide number 1. Our slide changer is Tom, the net control for tonight. So slide number 2, please. On January the 17th was the first quarter moon phase, so the current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. On January the 25th, the moon will be full. On January the 29th, the moon is going to be at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 405,777 kilometers. On February the 2nd, the moon phase is the third quarter. On February the 9th, the moon will be new. On February the 10th, the moon is at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 358,088 kilometers. Slide master, slide number 3, please. On January the 21st, the moon and the minor planet Vesta will be in conjunction in the southwestern evening sky in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. You'll need at least a pair of binoculars or a telescope to observe Vesta. I've seen Vesta through binoculars, so it's easy if you know where you're looking and what the object is in the field of view. Slide master, slide number 4. There's going to be a conjunction on January the 27th of the planets Mercury and Mars in the southeastern morning sky. You might want to get a pair of binoculars out for that because there's going to be strong twilight at that point. Slide master, slide number 5. There's going to be a conjunction on January the 28th of the moon and the minor planet Juno in the eastern evening sky. Once again, you'll need to have a pair of binoculars, if not a telescope, to find Juno. Slide master, slide number 6. There's going to be conjunction of the moon and the star Spica on February the 1st in the southern morning sky. And slide master, slide number 7. There's a conjunction of the moon and the minor planet Ceres on February the 5th in the the southeastern morning sky. And again, you'll need a pair of binoculars or maybe a telescope to find Ceres. Slide master, slide number 8, please. Remember, we have another solar eclipse coming up in about, 3 months. A solar eclipse is when the moon is in between the Earth and the sun, and for a few very lucky people on the Earth, blocks some or all of the sun from our field of view. Slide master, slide number 9. So on April the 8th, 2024, that is the total solar eclipse for us here in North Texas. From the Brookhaven campus of the Dallas College, the sun will be completely blocked out for 3 minutes and 20 seconds between 1:41 and 1:44 p.m. Central Daylight Time. During that time, called totality, you'll be able to see stars in the sky just like it were evening twilight. The next total solar eclipse after that, visible from North Texas, will be in the year 2317 on July the 9th. So this total solar eclipse on April the 8th is a very big deal since it only happens about once every 300 years here in North Texas. Just to let you know, I believe almost all the hotel rooms in downtown Dallas have already been booked and have been booked for the last couple of months. There's going to be a closure of streets and a festival going on that Monday, April the 8th. Could be kind of interesting for traffic on that day. This is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide master, I'm going to skip slide number 10. We've already talked about the Texas Astronomical Society, so let's move on to slide number 11, please. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question or maybe need a fill on any information, or maybe you just have a general astronomy question? Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Quiet out there tonight. Maybe everyone is watching San Francisco and the Green Bay Packers on TV tonight. I don't know. So as the slide master, slide number 12. So as the moon waned a couple weeks ago and won't be waning next week, so do these words for the segment of Skynet. So stay safe, keep well, pray for a world that's the only one where humans live, at least right now. And until next time, actually I'll be doing another segment on Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5 JHA, back to our net control. Maybe I should call him Iron Man Tom. It's yours.
KG5 ZIX. Question?
KG5 to CIX. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if y'all keep track of the SpaceX Skylink flyovers and the Falcon rocket launches. I haven't heard much about that, and I'm kind of curious about it.
Oh, yes, we do. In fact, there's a segment for that coming up. We talk about all the launches, and the vast majority of them are SpaceX. So Falcon 9 launches. Yeah, we have a section on that coming up in, probably about 15 minutes or so.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'll be standing by. This is Kilo Golf 5 Zulu India X-ray monitoring.
Very good, and we're glad you're here. Could I have your name and location, too? I've just put it in the log.
Yes, sir. This is Joe and Wiley.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you, Joe and Wiley. And come back again next week as well. We're here every Saturday night at 9 p.m. We've been doing this for, 10 years now? So we're glad you're here. All right, next segment is space exploration and space history. Normally this would be handled by one of our two regulars, but tonight I'm going to be doing it. Brenda was assigned that she was out, so at a conference down in Central Texas somewhere. Maybe she can tell us about it next week when she returns. Not space, but it's interesting nevertheless. Almost sounds like space. So let's start with space exploration news. We have Japan became the 5th country to successfully soft land on the moon with their lunar lander, though it is having issues generating solar power due to its arrays not deploying properly. Despite this setback, Japan still declared the landing success. That was yesterday. Next up is, of course, we've been talking about Astrobotics landed Peregrine lander, which failed after launch, burning up its Earth's atmosphere over the South Pacific after losing contact following its launch on ULA Vulcan rocket. That was a success. However, the payload deployed with a leaky fuel. This is a major setback for Astrobotics' first lunar delivery contract under NASA's CLPS program. And as we mentioned in the other section, that they are going to be involved with a number of initiatives to land on the moon. So hopefully this is just a temporary setback. Next up is the Axiom Space launched their first AX-3 mission, the third all-private crewed flight to the International Space Station. The crew is made up of an international mix from the U.S., Italy, Spain, and Sweden. By the way, they did dock at the space station today. Had a group picture with them all together. All 4 members of the crew have backgrounds as military pilots. Michael Lopez Pellegrini, astronaut, by the way. Walter Diade, Alper Derzaki, who is the first astronaut from Turkey, and Swedish project Marcus Vance is the first member of the 2022 European Space Agency astronaut group to receive a spaceflight mission. It is also the first commercial spaceflight mission for an ESA-sponsored astronaut, since the component of the mission was called Moon, as it overlaps with fellow Scandinavian ESA astronaut Andreas Morgensen's mission Huygens. Well, you got me. But okay. So we've doubled the number of over 8 countries now that are currently in space, 8 different countries. Now, also in This Week in Space History, on January 13th, 1993, was the launch of American communications satellite, Teaser 6. It's the first generation, which It's operated by NASA as part of its tracking and data relay satellite system. It was constructed by TRW and is based on a custom satellite bus, which was used for all 7 first-generation TDRS satellites. These are satellites that are used mainly for communications and relay between spacecraft in Earth orbit, mainly manned, but it could be anything, the International Space Station, and other objects. That's how we're able to get good coverage almost 24/7 now, thanks to the T2 satellites. On January 14, 1969 was the launch of Soyuz 4, carrying astronauts Vladimir Shadolov in its first flight. The aim of the mission was to dock with Soyuz 5, transfer 2 crew members from that spacecraft and return to Earth. The mission was flown by Boris Vonnant, Alexei Yevseyev, and Yevgeny Kronov, who was memorable for its dramatic reentry. The craft service module did not separate, so it entered the atmosphere nose first, leaving Voynich hanging by his restraining straps. As the craft aerobraked, the atmosphere burned through the service module, allowing the silent remaining descent module to right itself before the escape hatch was burned through. During the descent, parachute lines tangled and the landing rocket failed, resulting in a hard landing that broke Voynich's teeth. Now, I remember reading about this mission too, and he actually got out of the spacecraft and went to a nearby home to call for help. This is quite an amazing thing in the middle of nowhere, and there's a cabin, and he goes to ask for help. Also on January 14th, 2008, Messenger was the first Messenger's first flyby of the planet Mercury. It was made on January 14, 2008, making the closest approach of 200 kilometers of the surface of Mercury, followed by a second flyby on October 6, 2008. Messenger executed a final flyby on September 29, 2009, before slowing the spacecraft down and go into orbit. Then also on the 15th was the launch of Soyuz 5. The other part of that dual docking that I was telling you about with Soyuz 4 was a crew transfer. It was accomplished with a spacewalk, and 2 months before the United States Apollo 9 mission performed the first internal crew transfer. The space race was still going on, even for individual goals. In 1978, the NASA Astronaut Training Group 8 was selected to provide pilots, engineers, and scientific astronauts for space shuttle flights. So here are some of the astronaut names, see if you recognize any. Bluford, Brandon Steen, Elke, Coates, Conde, Crichton, Fabian, Fisher, Gardner, Gibson, Gregory, Griggs, Hart, Huck, Pauley, Hoffman, Lucid, McBride, McNair, Mullane, Nagel, Nelson, Onizuka, Resnick, Ride, Scobie, Seddon, Shaw, Shriver, Stewart, and Sullivan. You probably recognized at least 3 or 4 of those astronauts. 2003, on the same day, was the launch of STS-107. This was the 113th flight of the Space Shuttle program and the 28th and final flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia. The main mission was research, particularly the Space Hat module inside the shuttle's payload bay. This was unfortunately the mission that we lost. The KC landing was planned for February 1st after a 16-day mission, but Columbia and the crew were lost during re-entry to Texas. On January 17th was the NASA Astronaut Training Group 13, which provide pilots, engineers, and science and astronauts for the shuttle program. These were Birch, Chow, Clifford, Cockrell, Collins, Lane, Curry, Gregory, Williams, Halsell, Harris, Elm, James, Arthur, Newman, Toya, Precourt, Sirfus, Sega, Thomas, Voss, Janice, Walt, Wilcott, Wisdorf, and Wolf. On January 19, 1965 was the launch of Gemini 2. This was like Gemini 1, was an uncrewed mission intended for a test flight of the Gemini spacecraft. Unlike 1, which was placed into orbit, Gemini 2 made a suborbital flight primarily intended to test the spacecraft's heat shield. It was launched on a Type 2 GLV rocket. Then in 2006, January 19, 2006, was the launch of New Horizons, an interplanetary space probe, part of the NASA New Frontiers program's primary mission to perform a flyby study of the Pluto system in 2015, and a secondary mission for a flyby and study one or more Kuiper Belt objects, or KBOs, in a decade to follow, which became the mission to 486958 Arrokoth, the fifth space probe to achieve escape velocity needed to leave the solar system. Got a bunch of birthdays. These are the birth of Valery Marushkin. He was a Russian engineer cosmonaut from 72 to 87. Shannon Lucid, who you heard was the group of 8 astronaut group 8. She was American biochemical chemist mission specialist from 78 to 2012. She had 5 flights for 223.1 days, STS-51G, 34, 43, 58, and 76. 1956, on January 14th, birth of William Thompson. He was engineer, military spaceflight engineer from 82 to 85. He later became president of Spectrum Communications. We have on January 15th, 1921, birth of John Stevenson. He was an American oceanographer and payload specialist astronaut from 1984. Oh, it says 84 to 84, I guess just that 1 year. I was not aware of him, but he was part of the program. Anatoly Avichin from Russia. He was a Russian pilot cosmonaut. He flew on TMA-22 and Soyuz MS. January 16, 1946, Michael Coates, American astronaut, flew on STS-41B, 29, and 39. Then on January 16, 1948, Oleg Sokolov, he was born in Latvia, Russia. He had 5 space flights, TM-5, TM-9, TM-15, STS-71, and TM-26. Same day, 1952, birth of Lloyd Blaine Jr. He was on 2 space flights, STS-39 and STS-64. Same date, 1955, birth of Dr. Jerry Michael Wenger. He flew on STS-64 and Medium-1. January 17th, Daniel Brandenstein. He was born 1943. He flew on STS-8, 51G, 32, and 49. January 18th, I know the hits just keep on coming. Vladimir Boygrov. He was a Russian engineer cosmonaut from 66 to 68. We have Anthony Boyle, born 1941 on that date. He was an engineer payload specialist. Counts many flights for him. 1958 was Jeffrey Nels Williams. He flew on Soyuz TMA-8, TMA-16, TMA-20L. Same date was Franco Guerrero. He was an Italian engineer payload specialist from 1990 to 93. January 20th, 1930. Should recognize this guy. Edwin Eugene Buzz Aldrin. He was the second person on the moon. 2 space flights. Flew on Gemini 12 in 1966 and Apollo 11 in 1949. 1948, same date. Jerry Lynn Ross. He flew on STS-61B, 27, 37, 55, 74, 88, and STS-110. Then we have Maghomed Kolboryev, Russian test pilot cosmonaut from 83 to 94. And then finally, boy, this is he flew on Soyuz TM-6 in 1988. Well, there you have it. That's the space and space history information as well as the astronaut's birthday. This is KE5 ICX, and this is Skynet. All right, it's now time for Chaz again. Hey, Chaz again, you're next. KF5JHA from KE5ICX. This is Caelum's Constellation of the Week.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening again, everyone. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Oh, this is slide number 13, by the way, Slide Master. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in North Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is actually a twofer: Caelum the Chisel and Columba the Dove. Slide Master, slide number 14. Caelum is located in the southern hemisphere. Its name in Latin means chisel. The small, faint constellation was originally named as the sculptor's chisel and is one of the 14 constellations that was named in the 18th century. Caelum is the 8th smallest constellation in the sky, occupying only an area of 125 square degrees. There are no myths associated with the constellation of Caelum. Okay, now, the most important part of the entire Skynet segment are the jokes of the week. Slide Masters, slide number 15, please. Okay, here we go. Hold on to your hats. My body looks as if it were chiseled from marble. I'm not muscular whatsoever, but I have a marbled complexion. Did you like that one? People keep telling me that ancient statues of people are idealized to make the person look better. I guess you could say their features are chiseled. Okay, maybe that wasn't as funny. A friend texted me last February during a couple of years ago during Snowmageddon. That was 3 years ago. The window's frozen. I texted back, pour some water on it, and then lightly tap on the edges with a hammer and chisel. 10 minutes later, they texted back, I need a new computer now. Oh, come on, that was funny. Yeah, on the windows. Yeah, okay, fine. On to the other constellation. Pigeons are just like doves, except no one invites them to weddings. What bird can do more than others? Pelicans. What bird works in construction? Come on, this is an easy one. A crane. What bird goes to church? A cardinal. What bird is in a band? A rock dove. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 16, please. Caelum's brightest star, Alpha, shines at a magnitude of 4.44 and is difficult to see from light-polluted areas. It is a binary star, approximately 65.7 light years in distance, and about 900 million years old. So it's a relatively young star. It is suspected member of the Ursa Major moving group, Colander 285, a group of stars, including the brightest stars in the constellation of Ursa Major, that share similar velocities and likely originated from the same star cluster. The binary star's primary component is an F-type main sequence star, which is a suspected Delta Scuti variable star, one exhibiting variations in luminosity as a result of both radial and non-radial pulsations in its surface. Companion is a red dwarf belonging to the spectral class of M0.5V with an apparent magnitude of 9.8. It's also a variable star, but of the UV SETI type, a flare star. It occasionally undergoes sudden extreme increases in luminosity for just a few minutes. Gamma Cetus, Caelum, is a designation for two star systems separated by a quarter of a degree in the sky. In a small telescope, the system is resolved into a red giant and a white giant with apparent magnitudes of 4.5 and 6.34, respectively. Gamma 1 is a binary star that consists of an orange K-type giant, approximately 185 light years in distance, and a magnitude of 8 compared to its 3.1 arc seconds away. Gamma 2 is also a double star about 334 light years from the Earth that is composed of a yellow-white F-type giant class of Delta Scuti type variable and a companion star of the variable type F25 with an apparent magnitude of 9.6. Slide Master, slide number 17, please. The constellation of Caelum does not have any prominent deep sky objects, but only a very few faint galaxies. NGC 1679 is a barred spiral galaxy located 2 degrees south of Zeta. The galaxy has an apparent magnitude of 13.1 and occupies an area of 2.7 minutes by 2 minutes in size, and is discovered by John Herschel on 18th of November in 1835. It lies approximately a distance of 48 million light years from the Earth. Slide Master, slide number 18. IC 2106, that's the index catalog. IC oftentimes means you can't see it. It's a barred spiral galaxy that's approximately 229 million light years from the Earth. Galaxy was discovered by Lewis Swift on December the 26th, 1897, and has a visual magnitude of about 13. Again, it's kind of faint. Slide Master, slide number 19. Columba constellation is located in the southern sky. Its name means dove in Latin. The constellation original's name was Noah's dove. It was named in the biblical dove that informed Noah that the great flood was receding. Noah's dove was sent from the ark to see if there was any dry land left after the flood. The bird returned holding an olive branch in its beak, signaling that the flood is receding. Columba is the 54th constellation in size, occupying an area of 270 square degrees. Slide Master, slide number 20, please. Alpha Columbi, also known as FACT, is the brightest star in the constellation of Columba. It belongs to a spectral class B7 4E. The star is an approximate magnitude of 2.6 and is approximately 270 light years in distance. FACT is a double star composed of a BE type subgiant and suspected Gamma Cassiopeia type variable with an apparent magnitude of varying from 2.62 to 2.66, not a large variation. And a faint companion star is an apparent magnitude of 12.3. The primary star is an expanding giant shell of gas surrounding it. Mu Columbi is a runaway star believed to have been expelled from the Iota Orionis system of the trapezium cluster in the Orion Nebula, Orion constellation. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. It is a very fast rotating star and completes a full rotation about every 1.5 days. Our sun rotates on its axis, but it takes about 24 days to rotate on its axis. It belongs to the spectral class of 0.95b. Is one of the rare O classifications of stars that you can see with the naked eye. Very few of them are around because they have very short lifetimes. Mu Columbi is approximately 1,300 light years distance and has an apparent magnitude of NGC 1808 is a Seyfert galaxy approximately 40 million light years in distance. It has an apparent magnitude of 10.8, an apparent size of 6.5 minutes by 3.9 minutes in size. NGC 1808 is a barred spiral galaxy, and it shares a number of similarities with the Milky Way galaxy. It has an unusual nucleus shaped like a warped disk and shows odd flows of hydrogen gas flowing out of the central regions. The galaxy is believed to have a lot of star-forming activities occurring in it. Slide master, slide number 22, please. NGC stands for New General Catalog. 1851, also known as Caldwell 73, is a globular star cluster in Columba. It has an apparent magnitude of 7.3 and is approximately 39,500 light years in distance. The cluster occupies an area of about 11 minutes in size. And 7.3, you should be able to see it in binoculars. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 23. Now, there are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Caelum, the Chisel, and Columba, the Dove. I've just given you a sampling of a few of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, 77 different observing programs. Now, most of them have about 100 objects. If you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pin in about a year from the Astronomical League. And that is Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, or Constellations of the Week, Caelum, the Chisel, and Columba, the Dove. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal from them for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now, next week, we'll take a look at a constellation you've probably not heard of, just like this week, or two of them you probably never heard of. You've never heard of Orion the Hunter, have you? Maybe you have. And that is it for the constellations of the week. And this is KF5JHA, singing it back to our net control. Tom, it's all yours. 73, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. Yeah, so Ryan, I think I heard that somewhere before. But then I listen to Skynet a lot, so I should know them all, right? Okay, this is KE5ICX Net Control tonight, Skynet. I'll go ahead and take a round of check-ins before we move to the next section of the net. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Juliet 5, Delta Golf Victor, QTH, Grand Prairie, Texas. My name is Bruce.
KG5, UFR, Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Foxtrot Romeo, Jacob Dallas.
Okay, we picked up KJ5EGV, that's Bruce over in Grapevine, and KI5, UFR, that's Jake and Dallas. Handwriting, oh well, okay. Maybe it's Kilo Golf 5, UFR. Jake, give me your call again, I'm sorry, I messed it up.
Sure thing, not a problem. The call is Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Foxtrot Romeo, KG5, UFR.
Thanks, I hate to do that because I messed it up so badly. Kilo Golf 5 UFR, I've got you checked in. Okay, next up we're beginning to run down to the bottom of the hour here. So, we have space launches for the week, asked earlier. Tell you what we got going. We have, first is January, believe it or not, we have a pause in the action. January 27th is our next launch. That's quite unusual. We usually have 3 or 4 every week. So we've got a whole week before we start up with massive launches again. This one will be from the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. Launch Complex 1, a Rocket Lab Electron rocket will launch 4 LEMURSSA satellites. These are space situational awareness satellites on behalf of the Spire Global Incorporated customer, Northstar. The satellites will be launched in an inclination of 97 degrees. Will be the 43rd Electron launch today. Launch will occur within 45-minute launch window. Attempt to recover the first stage booster following stage separation. Now on to the lots of Falcon launches. We have Starlink 6-38 launching on January 28th. Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy. Be another batch of second generation Starlink V2 mini internet satellite. We have on January 29th, the next day, Falcon 9 launch NG-20. This will be from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral. This will launch Northrop Grumman's 21st Cygnus cargo freighter on the 20th operational cargo delivery flight to the International Space Station, known as NG-20. Launch vehicle is the Northrop Grumman Antares 230 Plus rocket. This is SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket after went to Northrop Grumman Antares 230 after Russian invasion of Ukraine ended engine and booster production for the Antares program. We have a Falcon 9 PACE launch. This one is to be determined February 6th. Time is to be determined SLC-40 in Cape Canaveral. It will launch NASA's Plankton Aerosol Club Ocean Ecosystem or PACE system. Be equipped with instruments to assess the health of oceans, measuring the distribution of phytoplankton, tiny plants, and algae. Sometime in February, the IM-1 launch on Falcon 9 from Launch Complex 39A. The IM-1 mission with an overseas lander built and owned by Intuitive Machines. The IM-1 mission will attempt to deliver a suite of scientific payloads to the surface of the moon for NASA's CLPS program, which we talked about earlier. We have a Falcon 9 USSF-124 launch from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral. The Falcon 9 will launch a U.S. Space Force and Missile Defense Agency rocket. There'll be a flight of USS F-51 from SLC-41 at Cape Canaveral. This is the Atlas V rocket, designated AV-101, which will launch the Air Force USS F-51 mission for the Space Force. We have on let's see here, this one's to be determined, no launch date, Atlas V, VSAT-3 EMEA that'll launch. This is AV-100 will launch a VSAT EMEA broadband communications satellite. And I got a couple more. Here's a good one. April 2024, we've gone that far in the future, Atlas V launch of the CST-100 Starliner crew flight test from SLC-41 in Cape Canaveral. The United will launch Boeing CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on its first mission with astronauts, known as the crew test flight to the International Space Station. The capsule will dock with the space station and return to Earth to the landing in the western United States. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will fly on the mission. The rocket will fly in a vehicle configuration with two solid rocket boosters and a dual-engine Centaur upper stage. Two more. We got a Falcon 9 Polaris Dawn mission. This will be in April. Launch Complex 39A with a Crew Dragon spacecraft on the program's 11th flight with astronauts. First stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The Dawn mission will be commanded by billionaire Jared Isaacman, making his second trip to space. He will be joined with an all-private mission by pilot Scott Gidkey and SpaceX employees Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon. The Crew Dragon will return to a splashdown at sea. And then finally, Vulcan Centaur Dream Chaser 1 launch. This will be cool. SLC-41 Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The United Launch Alliance Falcon Centaur rocket will launch on its second demonstration flight with Sierra Space Dream Chaser cargo vehicle for the International Space Station. Dream Chaser is a lifting body resupply spacecraft that will launch on top of the rocket and land on a runway. This will be Dream Chaser's first flight into space. The Vulcan Centaur rocket will fly in the DC-4L configuration 4 GEM 63XL solid rocket booster. A long-length payload bearing and 2 RL-10 rockets on the Centaur first stage. So as you can see, some of the commercial crew programs are starting to take shape. Finally, CST-100, and then the green Chaser first in an unmanned and then a manned configuration, beginning to finally come into fruition about a decade late on those two programs, believe it or not. But slow but sure wins the race, I suppose. This is KE5ICX Net Control, tonight's Skynet. Now I'm skipping recent astronomical discoveries because, quite honestly, my voice is about to give out anyway. I just didn't have anything prepared. I do have some satellite passages over the next couple of days. This comes from heavensabove.com. You can go there, put in your longitude or latitude, or you can even put in your city where you're located, and it'll give you a good approximation as to when satellites will go over. I have very little for you tonight. The International Space Station has no suitable passes for you, unfortunately. It's completely blank. Tiangong, the Chinese space station, has just 2 passes I can tell you about. We have one on January 22nd. It's a minus 1.0 magnitude at 1845 in the evening. Out of the west-northwest, the reach its highest point at 44 degrees, 1848, and falls to the southeast at 1851. January 24th is the next best pass after that, 0.4 magnitude at 1820. Out of the west, reaches its highest point at 23 degrees at 1822. And it'll fall to the south-southeast at 1825. That's it. Everything else is just not there. It's just the unfavorable position of slow Earth orbit satellites in reflection with the sun. As the sun gets lower and lower in the sky, it gets harder and harder to see reflected light from spacecraft as they fly over. So, and they spend a lot of time in shadow as well. Okay, that's it for me on all of that stuff. This is KE5ICX. We have 3 minutes left. Anybody have any final questions or final check-ins? Please come to your call now. Okay, we'll go ahead and close it out. Tonight we had 27 check-ins, not too bad, participating on the air, and thanks to all the check-ins this evening. Hope you join us here next week, every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration, because on this net, sky is never the limit. We're always looking for other net controls for this and all the other DARC nets. It's actually quite fun. We don't get many takers, but if you do it, we usually keep you for a very long time because they are fun to actually be net controlled for. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls from this evening or any of the other nights by sending an email to nets@w5sc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net, astronomy, and space in general on Facebook and X, I guess. Better update that, as well as our audio-video feeds, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5sc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:29 local time. And 73, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with the after-flow movie net. So I may ask for somebody to take that net because my voice is giving way.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
Talk with you all later. This is KE5I6. Okay, well, I didn't hear anybody chime in that they wanted to do that. You see how this all goes. We'll move forward. Sometimes the stars align and it's all one person. You need this week, this Saturday. Yeah, why not? I'd be told. This is KE5ICX. I'll probably be your net control for most of this net. We'll see how long. This is the Africa movie net. We talk about some movie that we've been assigned this week. This one is a strange movie called This Giant Paper Mache Boulder is Actually Really Heavy. From 2017, I believe. I have, there's no wiki on it, but there is a little bit of a Los Angeles Times thing on it. It says, with an affection for nerd culture that is inversely proportional to its budget, this lo-fi sci-fi comedy is destined for late night viewing. It pays homage to favorites like Doctor Who and Battlestar Galactica while looking like it costs less than a cosplay effort to make. Serious fan Jeffrey drags his friend Tom, who is co-writer and director Kristen Nicholson, and Galvin to a science fiction convention. There they get far more than their passes offer when they're sucked into an alternate universe that looks just like a black and white B-movie set in space, where they are the heroes who have to fight intergalactic supervillain Lord Frost alongside heroine Eminar. Fans of the silliness of Mystery Science Theater 3000 Galaxy Quest will find that Nicholson and his co-writer Andrew Gazan are on their wavelength with this inventive New Zealand film. The giant paper-mache boulder reveals an eatery that has fun with its low budget using hand mixers and potato mashers in lieu of expensive effects and props. Studios are spending hundreds of millions on their sci-fi films, but Nicholson proves that isn't necessary to make a movie that will transport genre lovers into the kids' world. Okie dokie with that. That's kind of a very brief summary of the film and impact. We will do the following. I will take check-ins. Once I get check-ins and hopefully a quorum, then we'll start talking about the film, starting with the plot. What did you think about the plot? Followed in the second round by the characterization and the acting, always interesting. And then the third round is talking about technical aspects of the film, what you liked, what you didn't like, anything you may have missed on the first two rounds. And of course, late check-ins all along the way. So I'll go ahead and start with check-ins. If you would like to discuss this giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. You don't have to necessarily have seen the film. You can say check that. We'll ask you whether you think it's one that you want to see later on. So you'll have participation even if you didn't see the film. But if you did, also, we definitely want you to check. Please come with the call sign, your name, and did you see the film.
Kilo India 5, Juliet, Charlie, Mike, Thomas, and Euless. I did not see the film.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in East Dallas. I actually did see the movie.
Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey. Junior Weber, that's the second one after you take a look. I did see the film.
Okay, we picked up KF5JCM, Thomas and Euless. He did not see the film. That's okay. We're going to ask if you want to see it later on. NT5PM, Tony in East Dallas. Yes, he saw the film. And KG5BZWJ near Weatherford. Yes, he saw the film. Yeah, Jay, go to Echo Link. You're a little scratchy this evening. Anyone else want to join us? Please come with your call.
November Victor 5 Foxtrot, Virginia in Fort Worth. Yes, I saw the movie.
in Fort Worth, yes, she saw the film. Okay, I know there'll be other check-ins hopefully a little bit later, but we can start with those. I'm going to skip Thomas for now. Thomas, listen intently because you need to tell us what you think about what everyone else thinks about the movie and whether you'd actually want to see it or not. We will start with Tony, NT5TM. Tony, your thoughts on our fine film this evening. What about the plot from KE5ITX?
You know, I actually really did enjoy it, although I can't explain it. I really appreciated getting a reference to Blake 7 at the end of the movie. The talking intelligence from a little plexiglass box made me think of, oh shoot, was it called ORAC? I'm not sure, but man, I did really enjoy all the references during the movie. The plot didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. It was just sort of a prancing romp through things that I've seen before and heard before, but, you know, that I wanted to give a hug to. So this was not really a... Oh boy. There are movies where I say you didn't need to read the book, and this is not one of those, because you didn't need to read the book, that's true, but you did need to see the movie, and the other movie, and the TV show, and the other TV show. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't think it really deserved as much of my affection as I feel for it, because I think that, like, if I'd showed this to Erin, she would have been like, what even is this? But I enjoyed it. It just felt like a familiar, fun thing that made me want to give somebody a hug. And I appreciated the effort they put into it. And so, yeah, I wasn't supposed to like this, but I did. NT5TM.
Interesting. Okay. Next is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, what you think about the plot for our fine film? This giant paper-mache boulder is actually really heavy.
This is Kill Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey. Okay, sorry. Listening to the distant radio in another room to make sure this is working. Yeah, I found it to be a lighthearted romp. It really, there's like nothing, it was very silly. I must say it was very silly. But I didn't really, the reason, to say, I did like the references that I got. I'm sure there were a lot I did not get. A lot of them were just put in there just to just the reference, Adama from Battlestar Galactica, or if I'm misremembering where Adama's from, but or maybe Adama's done multiple things, but I kept on seeing things like, oh yeah, that's from that. Oh yeah, that's from that. So in reality, let's just put it this way. I think this is almost like a tour guide to movies you've seen in the past, if you have a good recollection, which I don't quite do. They say, oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. I'm almost like kind of like a, I don't know, not that I've been to a homecoming or anything, but a little like how I've always imagined some or how like my parents, mamas told me or whatever of like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm just pulling from movies or whatever, but just you go back to the past, you recollect the past, and in a way it's a bunch of callbacks to a lot of fun scenes in different movies and references and whatnot. Nothing, particularly, nothing hateful or anything about. It's just very lighthearted. The plot did not really make sense, but that wasn't its function. Really, it was just it's a tour of the past. It wasn't really terribly. It wasn't badly done. I just what else to say? I think I'll leave it on that. KG5BCW.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Thumbs up there. So next is Virginia, NV5F. Virginia, you had some I can't believe my eyes comments last night when we watched the movie remotely and chatted about it. Please go ahead with your comments on the plot for our fine film from KE5ICX.
Okay, KE5ICX, this is NV5F. Yeah, I didn't know what this was. The title is so long and crazy. I almost wondered if it was a documentary about, you know, practical effects or something, and then we got into it. And it's kind of I liked it. I liked the plot. It's, I mean, you have to think of the plot outside of the plot, because if you think of the plot of the movie they were stuck in, that's actually pretty true to about 90% of science fiction movies are these wandering, questy things that most of it didn't really have to happen, but we needed something long and wandering and detailed just so we could have special effects and characters. And, you know, even something like I saw some homage to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and even the movie that was made for that, and that was, you know, I mean, even the book to that is just an absurdist sort of wandering thing, so we can just have humor or weird characters, and it makes a point, but it just sort of takes forever. And so the actual plot is that this guy gets his friends to go to a sci-fi convention, and they get stuck in this movie, and you have to suspend disbelief, and you figure out why they're stuck in the movie and who's got them stuck there and how they get unstuck. And I think that's really the plot. And then how they, you know, the guy Jeffrey wants to stay, and that gal who's like the assistant to Dr. Froth or whatever his name is, like she stays, and because that's just the world they really want to live in. And there's really people like that, you know, they want to live in that world, and it's kind of cool that they get to stay. It's got kind of a Wizard of Oz sort of thing to it, and I think the plot is, it's not the most original plot, but I thought the plot itself, which I consider the framing really be the real plot, and there was a little romance there, and it was cute, and you see people change and grow and admit who they really are and embrace who they really are, and apart from getting into other aspects of it, I thought the plot was pretty good. It kept me interested, and it was fun to see if I could pass the sci-fi literacy test that was obviously in here, and this is definitely esoteric to sci-fi fans. Most other people aren't going to get most of the jokes or understand a lot of the intertextual references, but even then they could enjoy the plot of it. I think the plot's all right, and they'll even the most general fan of space and sci-fi movies like Star Wars and even the old cheesy black and white ones will get some of the stuff in here. So yeah, I think it's pretty good, pretty engaging. Kept me interested till the end. And I also wanted to say, I've been coughing since I got back from the UK on January 2nd, and I have also been coughing all day, but if you want me to, after this round, I will be happy to take over the net in V5F.
Okay, well, thank you, Virginia. I sounded that whiny, huh? Yeah, I'm okay. I wasn't sure, but I'll be okay. I appreciate your offer. I know you usually do. Yeah, I remember you said you were suffering a bit after the trip, but don't worry about it. I appreciate it, though. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask if there's additional check-ins at this point before I make any of my comments. If you'd like to join us, we were talking about this giant paper-mache boulder. It's actually really heavy, from 2017, I think. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign, your name. Did you see the film? You can still check in even if you didn't. Please come now.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen this film.
All right. Usual suspects have checked in with the exception of Brenda, who's down at a conference somewhere in Central Texas somewhere. Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, your thoughts on the plot for our fine film this week? Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. I have a feeling my opinion is not going to be very popular. This film was just kind of an excuse to basically do one-liners from movies and TVs we've always seen before. And kind of poke a little bit of fun at it. But unfortunately, like any comedy, it's all subject to what you find funny. And for me, I just didn't find it that funny. In fact, I got so bored with it, I seriously considered actually stopping this movie about halfway through. But I thought I'd give it a chance to finish it, but I found it very painful to watch. Because to me, it just wasn't that interesting. I think most of the scenes were pretty obvious what they were trying to make fun of. And to be quite honest, I've seen YouTube videos where they've done much better job making fun of these different scenes. So, the plot was kind of pointless to some extent. It was just kind of excuses to go around. And this is, and it didn't help. And this is kind of getting into the next section. But the acting was pretty rough for most of them, so it just made it even worse. I'm sure this might be a cult classic for a few people, but to be honest with me, I really honestly just really hated this film. It reminded me of that movie we saw where it had whatever it was, the goats with the rocket launchers on their side. It just wasn't that good. So unfortunately, I know it's probably not a popular opinion, but this one wasn't for me. So back to that, KB9SOK.
Sean, don't apologize. Cisco and Ebert never agreed on a movie, which made it impossible for you to go and watch their show because, what was it, Cisco always hated the movie and Ebert always loved the movie. So if it was reversed and Cisco loved the movie and Ebert hated the movie, then you knew you would have to, that was probably a film you wanted to see. But anyway, no, don't feel bad about that at all. Me, I was sort of in the middle ground on this one, and I have to admit I was fighting fatigue. I fell asleep during part of the movie. I was just tired Friday night when we watched it in group. So I missed part of it. I too, to a certain degree, found it a little tedious. I thought it was cute, and the ideas and the premises were quite fun. At the beginning, it was quite entertaining because it was somewhat novel, although we've seen this sort of thing before. But it was novel enough, and the fact that they were forced into it, and all of the little science fiction references from other films was obvious there. That was fine. I didn't mind that, but it was kind of long. It's like sometimes how Saturday Night Live does a skit, and then they take and make that skit into a whole movie, or a 1-hour Twilight Zone or something like that. Sometimes they're just a little too long. This one probably was a little too long for me. So that was my only problem with it. It was entertaining. I love the clever things they did with the props that they had created out of object stuff, which was pretty fun. There was a lot of inspiration from Hardware Wars, of course, which was the original spoof-type film like this that we saw in, 60 millimeters, 80, whatever it was, came out in the 70s. So that was fine. And we've seen other films, too, that have done the same thing. So, overall, it's not where no comedy has gone before. It certainly has gone before. But it was mildly entertaining. I didn't mind it so much. I've got some things to say about characterization, so I will withhold my comments there. Okay, let's see. What do we do? Let's go to, we just have Thomas who didn't see the film. Thomas, KI5JCM. If you haven't disappeared already, what do you think? Is this one you want to see from KE5ICX? Okay, I think we got our answer. This is not a film that Thomas would want to see, but I appreciate the fact he checked in, even though he didn't see the film. Tony, NT5TM. Tony, what'd you think of characterization on our fine film this week? KE5ICS.
To say that, you know, sometimes I love and hate a movie at the same time. I really love David Lynch's Dune, the original theatrical release, but I also understand why people hate it. It's kind of incoherent. I was just finishing watching a fan edit of that movie last week, and yeah. Oh, it doesn't take much to make that movie more coherent. Just a little better editing that the Dino De Laurentiis folks didn't let into the movie. And likewise with this one, I really did enjoy the plot, and I loved all the references, but the characterization, I have to say, was pretty weak, because I really just can't mostly remember who was supposed to be whom. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed the movie, but who are you again? I guess you're just here to tell me a good story or make a joke. Who are you again? So, well, I really enjoyed this movie. I can completely understand why Thomas hated it. I feel that way about other movies I both love and hate, like, you know, again, the David Lynch tune. And, so yeah, I really think the characterization was pretty weak and hard to follow, and I couldn't really remember who was supposed to be whom, and people were just showing up at random moments and going, oh yeah, oops, you're supposed to do something here. But yeah, characters, weak. NT5TM.
Alright, thank you, Tony. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Next up is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, your thoughts on characterization from KG5IC.
This is KG5BZW. And, well, where am I going with this? Let me start off with I'm wondering how much the characters themselves were also references. Even if they're the dumbest reference you can imagine, you know, not just to sci-fi, but maybe a little bit to fantasy/comedy. I could have sworn, like the wouldn't quite say love. What would you call her? The lady that was pursuing the evil guy. It seemed to remind me of, I don't know if it was Tracy Ullman's latrine in Men in Robin Hood Men in Tights or what, but another movie I need to watch sometime. There is just, I don't know, it was a callback to something, I'm certain. And I'm wondering just how much the others were. Now, granted, you got the three main characters, the guys that we first see go in. And then there's that sequence at the very beginning, which didn't seem to relate to anything. I really wanted to see a callback to that. Granted, we're talking back to plot. But there's all these characters at the very beginning that you kind of just forget about because I guess it was maybe I missed something and there's a movie that was being shown or something, and I don't know. I think I may have missed something with regard to that. Then, of course, we had the Emma character. Just not really. I mean, you did see growth. You did see change. You did see the callback to the guy that most interesting character was probably the guy that was you know, he hated sci-fi, but he actually loved it, and he just didn't want to admit it because of his past embarrassment. So that was kind of cool. But other than that, I mean, the weird switching between their fantasy characters and you know, reality character was kind of interesting, but kind of thrown in as well. I don't know who the evil guy was supposed to be or what, but I don't know. But I do think if it. I feel like if there is something to it's something I'm missing. Let's put it that way. That sounds like a good place to stop. KG5BGW.
Okay, thank you, Jake. That may have similar problems. Let's see, Virginia, NV5F, Virginia, what do you think of the characterization, the acting in our fine film? KE5ICX.
Okay, well, I'll probably resonate with most people on this. Acting not great, but this movie didn't require great acting. In fact, probably especially in the movie within the movie, the worse the acting, the more convincing it was that they were in a bad science fiction movie. So I wasn't terribly worried about whether the acting was good because the whole thing was so absurd. And the characters were so broad. But I'm with Tony. There's a point where you're just kind of like differentiation. It was easy to tell the people apart, but there weren't any distinct qualities about any of them that made you really love them or hate them. Maybe the main character, I think his name was Kevin, he was, he is the one who grew the most, but in the end, he didn't really change a whole lot, and he kind of got what he wanted. And, the guy, what was his name? Matt, the guy who didn't like sci-fi. I'm getting all the names wrong, I'm sorry. I suck at remembering character names in movies. Unless it's something I absolutely love. But that guy, it was interesting to see him admit that he liked sci-fi. And they kind of figured that out because he was changing, and that's kind of a hallmark of someone who likes sci-fi is that they get sucked into the plot of this movie. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Was that a character, you could tell a character's actual character concerning science fiction based on how they responded or not to the world they were in, and so Kevin was kind of a standout, and so he got to actually have this arc. Interesting. I think that's a little noteworthy. But yeah, at the end of the day, this isn't a movie that I'm just going to go, God, I want to see this over and over again because I love these people, or, oh, that bad guy was so great, or, oh, there was such justice, justice prevailed, good over evil or whatever. It's not like that. It's not like I just really want to, you know, like be with these people over and over again. You know, there was nothing amazingly endearing about any of them. And there wasn't a lot of depth or development, but that wasn't really the kind of movie it was. So I'll just end there. KE5ICX NV5F.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. No, I get it, and I agree. I'll make my comments here in a bit. KB9S, okay. Sean, your thoughts on characterization acting? Please go ahead. KB5ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9S, okay. Yeah, I agree with everybody on this part. Acting wasn't great. There wasn't a whole lot of character development. So there wasn't a whole lot there. Maybe I agree that probably the guy that admitted he likes sci-fi, maybe he had the most growth in this entire movie. You know, our main protagonist, like Virginia said, he didn't really change, and he still got the girl. So, you know, that's not good. Normally in most movies, you see a change in the main character, then he gets the girl. So, yeah, it was just one that they didn't put a lot of thought in this. I really think, once again, they were just trying to had to come up with excuses to get from joke to joke to joke. But I will say that, you know, outside this movie, I do think sometimes comedies do get overlooked a lot. You know, they don't get a lot of credit, because actually doing comedy that looks natural and good is actually quite hard. I think it's a lot harder than just doing general acting, and unfortunately, good comedic actors never seem to really get their due, and they really should, because it is hard to do, to pull off, to make it look natural. Unfortunately, this group did not. But anyway, so yeah, I guess if you like watching a train wreck, so yeah, not a lot there. So anyway, back to that. This is KB9S, okay.
All right, thank you, Sean. Let's see. Anyone else want to check in? Please, some of you call your name. Did you see our film? Fine film. This giant paper mache boulder is actually really heavy. Okay, hearing none. I'll go ahead and give my comments. I don't have much to add. I do agree with Sean. I'm a big one when it comes to a big fan of a character that grows in some way, shape, or form. That's part of the basic structure for movies and stories, is that your hero, your protagonist, is supposed to learn something and become a better person. Typically, not always, but that's typically what happens. And Tom actually didn't do anything different. He was still the same guy he always was. She was kind of jerky when you think about it. The other thing is, too, is that he was not the nerd. Everybody else was the nerd. Jeffrey's super nerd, but everybody was acting in such ways, and Tom was not. So, in a way, it's kind of, I don't know how you would describe it, not typical. If you're going to do this and you're going to make fun of the whole thing, wouldn't you want your hero to be the nerd and he's the one that gets the girl because of something nerdish that works? Because that's who's watching the film and would appreciate all the jokes anyway. So I don't know. He was okay. Again, there was a lot of sexist comments or whatever, and I guess it was okay. I'll put it in air quotes. It was a bit much in a few scenes. I don't know. It depends on I guess maybe your point of view or the mood that you're in at the time. It didn't bother me, but it wasn't actually. It was more distracting than anything, I guess. In a way, a little childish, perhaps. In other ways, I don't know. What do you say? Can't really give you a thumbs up, and I'm that part of it. But at any rate, the other characters, they were somewhat fun. I enjoyed them. My favorite character, of course, is the supervillain, Lord Frost, with his maniacal laugh that he overuses, but he's pretty good. He's the smoothest of all the characters, and we don't know his motivation except to just be pure evil with a sense of humor, I guess. And I think one of the funniest scenes, though, and I have to admit, is at the early beginning when he thinks he's off the air, and he's still talking, and he's got typical, employee problems and performance issues with everybody and that, and he's just go on. Yes, it's been on since you thought you signed on. And then you say, oh, hi. So that was kind of cute. I enjoyed that. He was the most fun of all the characters, I think, even more so than Tom was. Lord Frost is my hero. But then the bad guys are always more interesting anyway, even though they're more ridiculous. So, all in all, not too bad. All right. Let's see. We're going to just zoom through everything tonight. I don't think we're going to make the hour mark, much less than a minute. So we will move on to the next section, which is talk about special effects, or in this case, probably not so special effects. Maybe innovation might be a word. I don't know. Let's go back to Tony, NT5TM. Tony, your thoughts on that? Anything else you want to add from KE5ICX?
Well, thank you, Tom. I actually don't have too much, like you suspected, I don't have too much to add. I did enjoy it, but I understand why people wouldn't. I loved all the references, and I loved the lame effects. I mean, the little special, little rocket ship Galileo there bouncing around in space. I actually think it, just like it takes a good actor to play a bad one, I think that they had to put in extra hard effort to make the effects look as bad as they did. They probably could have done a little bit better, but that was the whole point, being just a little bit better than what they actually could accomplish, just making us laugh and smile. And I think that's really all the effects were supposed to do. So I enjoyed the music and the effects. I don't know who the composer was, Ellen Smithy or somebody. But it was fun. NT5TM.
Okay. I think the responses everybody's giving is pretty telling. All right, Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, your thoughts on special effects or anything you want to say about the movie? Go ahead, from KE5IC.
This is KG5BZW. I just wanted to briefly point out, don't just think of movies as being references to this film. I should have looked this up because I don't remember, but the alien that helped them, that was clearly a ripoff of the, I think they're called Solarian in Mass Effect. It's a video game. It was 100% a rip-off of one of the main characters in that video game. So there was they just the loads of things were references. I like the cheesy effects. They were intentionally cheesy. They did not. They clearly not care if they looked good. They just looked. I mean, actually, I'll take that back. They look good for being cheesy, but they were definitely cheesy and silly and whatever. It was enough to invoke a few chuckles anyway for me. What else? Music-wise or anything, I didn't think of. Oh yeah, there was that one musical sequence which I totally forgot the song. So that was interesting. The whole montage with the guy and Emma on that space bike or whatever. I don't know what you call it. yeah, totally forgettable there. But, I mean, if there's anything, I think that one place they could have cut was probably that. But, I don't know, it wasn't a terrible song either. I just don't remember it. I don't know. That's me in good mood, so. Say, did you buy busy?
Okay, thank you, Jay. And yeah, I didn't see Mass Effect, so I can't, or played the video game. So you got more of the references, I think, which is really great. I'm glad you did. You had a lot of fun with it. I got some of them. I'll explain mine in a little bit. But Virginia, NV5F. Virginia, your thoughts on, I don't know, special effects, anything you may have missed in the film. Go ahead, from KE5F here.
Okay, well, music was interesting. I did appreciate the purposely bad special effects. One of my favorites was the sequence where they used the iguana as the big lizard, because they have done that in so many, like, crappy 50s sci-fi movies where they're supposed to have a big lizard and they just film, like, an iguana and, like, try to, mat it into some, composite it into some shot with, people and make it look huge. That was hilarious. And then I also noticed in the music, in that sequence was a reference to Benny Hill, which is not sci-fi, but it's just so ubiquitous, whether you're, American, Australian, New Zealander, British. I appreciated those kind of things. Some of the, they did references from everything to Star Wars to Hardware Wars, and it's funny to see them referencing parodies, and some of the plot in this definitely referenced parodies, like the "Is This On" thing that you referred to. They did that in Galaxy Quest. There's a lot of things where they're using things from other parodies that are sci-fi things. The absurdist, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff. I think my favorite might have been their homage to the Gorn fight. I wish they could have shot that at Vasquez Rocks, but even just the title of the movie and how they worked that in, where the guy is throwing rocks and he sees these crappy looking paper mache rocks, and he decides to just chuck one, and he realizes it's actually, even though it looks like a fake rock, in this world, it weighs as much as a real rock, just like those flashlight guns actually shoot real lasers, because they're in the movie. So I liked that. There's just I could just go on and on. And there were some things I thought were forced and not great, and other things I thought were subtle and wonderful. If you just want, like I said, it's like a sci-fi fantasy literacy test, and there's things that some people are. I'm sure there's lots of things that got right past me. So there's just a lot. Sci-fi is a big world, and we all have our specialties. Don't recall seeing a single reference to 2001. Usually 2001 makes these kind of things, but if anyone saw anything referring to 2001, let me know, because I don't think I saw a 2001 reference. I loved the cheesy spaceship effects flying through space. I liked the colors once they somehow got the color turned on in the movie. I liked that because it was purposely terrible and, a rocket ship on a string, and I'm sure it was all done with computers, but they did a really good job animating it and making it look like it was, really bad special effects, and I thought that was fun. And that aspect of it, the music was crazy, the effects, the references to all kinds of different movies were crazy and fun, and I, just had a good time with that. I laughed out loud quite a few times. Back to net in V5F.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia. Thanks for the comment. I did not see a 2001 reference either. either, and you would think there'd be a monolith or something. A cheesy monolith like a cereal box or something, but nope, not in that one. I remember something. I'll tell you this because it was kind of funny. I remember a send-up of that. I think it was Second City TV, and it had the 2001 monolith in it, and they were doing like the old Stooges routine with the doors, the multiple doors, and they're looking for each other, and it's like 6 doors, 3 on each side, and the characters would sneak through each of the doors, close the doors, and cross, and all that, and the monolith had hands and legs, was going and tiptoeing across from one door to another. Yeah, 2001 reference. Sean, KB9SOK, your thoughts. Final chance to stake your claim on a spine film. Special effects or anything you want to talk about from KB5 ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Once again, I agree with everybody on the effects. They went out of their way to make them look bad. But hey, and you know, so I think that was obviously intentional. So yeah, there's not much else to say. Yeah, the music was kind of weird. And to be honest, just kind of looking forward to the next film. So yeah, back to net. This is KB9SOK.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll give you that here, and just, well, I can give it to you right now. Well, let me tell you my thoughts as well. Yes, I agree. Virginia stole my thunder on the boulder. Obviously, that was a reference to the Star Trek episode with the Born in it. And I thought it was pretty funny when the guy throws the rock, and it just goes up and up. Throws the thing, he overthrows it, of course, which is what happens in the Gorn episode. His name escapes me right now. I can't imagine why, but at any rate, I guess it's tired. But at any rate, there's that, and it comes back down and it kills him anyway, or it knocks him out, which is pretty funny. I thought that was pretty cute. One of my favorite effects is when they get and they adjust something in the spacecraft, and it's a toaster that's been built into the console, the command console. So there's the toasting button there that tells you how much you want to toast it, and then on top are 2 handles that are stuck inside the toaster. Now you got to look at it. Obviously it's a toaster, but when you look at it, it's so integrated into the control panel of busyness that it's initially, you know it's a toaster, but it's not a toaster, but you know it's a toaster because you got to look at it a second time. How did they get the toaster so camouflaged to make it look obviously like a toaster, but not obviously a toaster? That took a lot of interesting work on their part. So I thought that was pretty cool. Other things, the helmets like the iMac computer casing that the guy wore as a helmet, the old iMac with the CRT. Other things like that, you'll see it all in there. It's pretty interesting. So there's a series, I cannot remember the name. I'll see if I can find it here real quick, but give me a second. Oh well, it's going to take me too long to find that. I'm just drawing a blank on the name of the series, but it was on HBO, I think. And it's a science fiction thing that came out of anime. And it's the guy who plays Sulu on the rebooted Star Trek movie series. He's in it. And you'll watch it, and all of the references are supposed to be kind of the future, but everything in it is retro. If you look carefully, you'll see things like old computers and old cars and things like that in it with a modern slant. It's all classic stuff, usually from the 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s. when you watch it. I can't remember. It's about a bounty hunters in space. When I think of it, I'll put it over on the Facebook page. I'm just drawing a blank right now. So, oh, darn. Any rate. Okay. Well, I'm not going to prolong it any longer. Never mind. Thought I had it, but I don't. Next week's movie is, make sure it may be even Star Trek. And Afterglow movie. And next week's movie is, let me go to the guide. I'm going to dig down in my own stuff. Oh, nope, I stand corrected. Next week's movie is called UFO. The movie is called UFO from 2018. That'll be our film next week. So be ready. I think somebody said they'd already seen it, said they liked it, so maybe this one isn't too terrible. It's an hour and a half long. UFO from 2018. So that's it for me. I'm going to probably go to bed. I got to bundle up and go running in the morning. Wish me luck. I didn't do it today, and everybody else was out there except me. I was the bum. I didn't go. So, in the teams, man. They went. They're all superhuman. Okay, we'll see you again next week. This is KE5ICX. Thank you for participating. Bye-bye and bye-bye.
Hey, Tom, it's okay to be a bum now and then. I slept through my alarm this morning. I had a parting shot about Siskel and Ebert. There are at least 2 movies I know they agreed on. They both liked Short Circuit 2, but I would never make us sit through that. I like it, but it's just not as good as the first one. And they also agreed on this terrible movie from 1981 called Heartbeeps, B-E-E-P-S. It's also about robots. And I have suggested it on the chat thread a couple times. It stars Andy Kaufman and Bernadette Peters as robots. Anyway, I'm going to nominate it for a future Afterglow movie because I think we'd get a weird, interesting spectrum of reactions from this fine, forgotten gem from 1981. In fact, Siskel and Ebert both said no to this movie. So, anyway, they liked Short Circuit 2 and they hated Heartbeeps, 1981. So, anyway, just putting that bug in your ear. Have a good night. NV5F.
Okie dokie. Well, what I've done is I've marked it on my little login sheet here. I go look for it, and I do really do take, suggestions from the audience because a lot of times I don't know what all these movies are, and sometimes they're really good things. So I'll go looking for Heartbeeps and see where it might show up, and see if we can see it. All right. See you later. This is KE5ICX. Clear again. Bye.
Okay, it's currently free on YouTube with ads. Good night, NV5F clear.